Hello YouTubers, Joe Kersey here on November 9th, 2016, the day after Election Day. And it's about 1500 in the afternoon Eastern Time. Well, as you know, or a lot of you know obviously, well, depends on where in the world you live, but most people, I think, who interact with YouTube are aware that the United States had this presidential election along with, all other sorts of elections, House and Senate, some governors, local issues, that sort of thing, state legislatures, yesterday. And typically on an election night, I'll stay up and watch the returns. Now, obviously, I poop out, after a certain amount of time. I made it to about 12:30 in the morning, meaning today, morning of today, about 12:30. And then I went to bed for a couple hours, just about a couple hours actually, because then I woke up at 2:30 and walked back. I left the TV on so that if Paul woke up, he could hear it, and if I woke up, I could hear it. And we listened to the stuff, and it was, I had it on PBS with the egregious Judy Woodruff. But they had the good Hari Srinivasky. I like him. And, of course, there were a couple of other very self-righteous people. But they were announcing that the AP had just called it for Trump after, I guess, after Wisconsin came in, more or less clearly. Now, I said before, I didn't vote for this man. I voted the Libertarian. So I mean, I'm just kind of watching this as a neutral observer, And, but what was fun was to watch, and then I started switching around to the other networks just to see how they were announcing it. And what's fun to watch are these guys that, basically lived with their all these folks, men and women who had lived with their heads up Hillary's fundament for the last 18 months, Absolutely dead sure she was going to win. And wanting her to win. They didn't hide this at all. They rarely hide it that well anyway, but they didn't hide it at all this election cycle. And it was fun to watch them completely deflate. There was one guy on CNN that just went into this kind of rant. And of course, Wolf Blitzer was near to tears. I mean, he almost seemed to be in complete denial of reality there after a while. I only bring this up because, well, one, people have been talking about it on YouTube today, and two, if the Donald Trump that stood up last night and gave his victory speech isn't really a good word for it. I mean, just a we've won, let's get on with it type speech. If that Donald Trump had shown up, and I'd heard him during his campaign appearances, and I essentially didn't watch any of his speeches except what they reported on the press, which of course means you're getting a very skewed idea of it. If that had been the guy that I heard campaigning, I might have voted for him, despite disagreeing with a lot of what he had to say. And whatever somebody thinks about Donald Trump, my opinion, and I know that a lot of people who watch this don't agree with it, might not agree with it. I think he's far preferable to the Clinton sort of quasi-racketeering operation there with their foundation and pay for play. And if, obviously if Hillary had gotten in, she'd want to be reelected 4 years from now. So there'd be just more and more pay for play. So, not to mention, I essentially disagree with, well, I disagree with the political correct fascism that she exudes. It's not a matter. It's not enough to do what I want you to do. You've got to think like I do. And that's, using language to, corrupting language in the pursuit of power is the first tactic of totalitarian type governments. Certainly very authoritarian type governments. Certainly the tactic of a intensely regulatory state, which we have now. So, now, around 11:30 this morning, Mrs. Clinton made her speech, and again, she came across as being very, very reasonable. I wouldn't have voted for her if I'd heard her talking that way on the campaign, during the campaign, but far preferable to seeing any of the stuff that I've seen her spew out, in the various newscasts. And that's with favorable media reporting it. So it's there's a chance we can put this behind us and move along. I hope. Paul Ryan got up about 11 this morning, and he made a statement about trying to work with, all the various people involved. So maybe we can put this era of rancor and ugliness behind us. I certainly hope so. So I'll say bye-bye YouTubers on that one.